I am putting out a call for your quirkiest reading habits. And the reason I'm asking you for yours is because I'm about to share mine. I can't believe I am going to put it on the internet because it is a little goofy, a little pointless, pretty dumb, and I think quirky might be the kindest word for it. This quirky habit of mine started with a less quirky habit. Possibly even an understandable, maybe even common habit. This is a habit I only do for novels. I don't do this for nonfiction, poetry, or short stories. And I probably started casually doing this many years ago. In my early adulthood, I would find myself, upon reaching the last page of a novel, having to keep my eyes away from the last sentence, because it always seemed that the last sentence of a novel was of great importance. And if I saw any word in that last sentence before actually reaching that last sentence, that something bad would happen. That would not be good. So I would have to keep my eyes very tightly focused on every other word on that page until I came to that last sentence of the novel. And then I would read the last sentence of the novel and I would let it all soak in, as I'm sure we all do, and think about that last sentence, how that last sentence works for the novel as a whole. So I started kind of collecting these last sentences, or just really paying close attention to them and really hold them in a special place as it's the last sentence of a novel. This is something important. And one day it dawned on me that not only was there a last sentence of a novel, there was also a last word of a novel. That's a big deal. This is the last word of the novel. And so I would really notice what that last word was. And a lot of novels end on a really awesome last word. And I started to think, do authors pay attention? I hope they do. I want to believe that authors really do pay attention to what the last word of their novel is. You gotta believe that they do. It's the last word of their novel, right? That was kind of my quirky habit for a while. I would, get to that last sentence, enjoy the last sentence, and then savor the last word and really think about, does this last word serve the novel as a whole? And I would start this very mental collection sort of last words of novels, until one day it dawned on me, and I know I said that already, another day, another dawn. One day it dawned on me that not only was there a last word of a novel, there was also a first word. And so I started, when I would finish a novel, I would look at that last word, enjoy it, and then flip to the front and look at what the first word was. And I never pay attention to the first word when I start a novel. There's too much excitement going on when you start a novel. But once I finish the book, read that last sentence, read that last word, then I flip to the front and I say, okay, well, what was the first word? And sometimes it's a great first word. Most of the time it's the, or I, or she, or he. Time went by and I, had this habit. I would read the last word, flip forward, read the first word, and started to think of them as like bookends to a novel. Like the last word, what's the first word? Are they interesting? Until one day it dawned on me that sometimes the first word and the last word of a novel make a mini sentence when you put them together. Very rarely, but sometimes, like she laughed, or it rained, or something. I don't know, I'm making these up. And sometimes, even more rarely, that mini sentence says something about the novel as a whole. It fits with something the novel is about. And so that's when I really started this quirky habit of reading a novel, finishing the book, looking at the last word, flipping to the first word, checking to see, does it make a mini sentence or some kind of phrase? It didn't have to be a full sentence, a phrase that somehow spoke to what the book was about. And then if it's really, really, really good, I would write those two words on the title page of the book. So I would know, I would flip to that book sometime in the future and I could see oh yes, this had an amazing bookends to the book, the first word and the last word. said something. So that's my quirky habit. It's very simple and it's not revolutionary. As I said earlier, it's pretty pointless. I just get so much joy doing it, which is just goofy. And I've wanted to share my quirky habit here before, but it seemed to me that sharing the last word of a novel was a little bit of a spoiler. Like, I would be really upset if someone told me, probably because I have this quirky habit, I would be upset if someone told me what the last word of a novel was. Like, you should be able to get there on your own. You know, you've earned that last word when you read the whole novel. So I haven't mentioned it here. I feel it's pointless to talk about something without also showing it. Like, one of my goals that I want to get a lot better at with this channel is show, don't tell. So I didn't want to just tell you about it without actually having examples of great little mini phrases that I've found. Until one day it dawned on me I could share the mini sentences without actually telling you what book they're from. But I still want to show you the book. So what I'm going to do is just show you a selection of books, all from independent publishers, because, you know, hello, here we talk about independent publishers here. My name is Sarah. I pulled books, mostly are recent books that I've read that I remember having fun little mini phrases or little sentences. I'll show you the books, and then I'll share the mini phrases / sentences. So first, what I want to do, because I also think it's really fun to just think about books that have awesome last words also, because it's pretty rare that the first and last word combo is interesting or makes any sense. Not so rare that a book ends on just the coolest last word. That's really where the meat is the last word. Usually it's, wow, okay, how did the author come to that last word? Did it just happen? Did they have to edit away to reach that last sentence and that last word? Was it something they really worked at or thought about? What I really love is when the last word fits, and it usually does. If it's an awesome last word, it's usually awesome because it is obviously thought about. It obviously was a conscious, very purposeful decision that this word needs to say something about the novel as a whole. So I'm going to share 5 last words and then the 5 books they came from, but I'm not going to tell you what book they came from. Okay, so we have whole, like H-O-L-E, time, resurrection, ownership, and my favorite, maybe. That's one of my favorite last words of a novel that I've read recently. Maybe. And if you've read the book, you know why it's awesome. Hopefully you've thought about that last word. A lot of people have read this book. I'm going to stop talking. I'm ruining it. Oh my God. Okay, those words came from Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. This is from New Directions. Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro. This is from Charco Press. Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. This edition is from Fitzcarraldo. She Would Be King by Waitu Moore. This is from Grey Wolf, an amazing book that should be more widely read. The Possessed by Witold Gombrowicz. This is published by Fitzcarraldo. And finally, Lolly Willows by Sylvia Townsend Warner. This is from New York Review Books. Okay, so now we're gonna share the stupid part. My little mini sentences. None of them are really revolutionary, but they bring me joy. I'm going to share the phrases. So before I share these, I'm going to also tell you about my exceptions. So what I do first, I look at the last word, I flip back and I look at the first word. And sometimes if the first word is really, as it usually is, common, like I, the, whatever, I will also look at the second word. And so I'll combine the first, quickly, this is all within a matter of milliseconds. I'll combine the first word and the last word, decide whether that's a mini sentence, and then I will also barely consciously add in the second word and see if it makes a mini sentence with the 3 words. First word, second word, last word. And sometimes that makes like a nice little phrase that fits with the book. If the book has text before the very beginning, like it has a prologue or something, I don't include introductions. If it has a prologue, I will look at the first chapter first, and then I'll also flip to the prologue. If it has an epilogue, I'll look at probably the epilogue first, and then flip to the end of the book before the epilogue, And whichever one is better is the one I, go with. There's no point. I'm not doing anything with these. This doesn't mean anything, but I will look at all the various definitions of what you could say are the beginning of the book or the end of the book. I just look at them because it's fun, it's dumb, none of this matters. And what I love about all of these is they each say something about the book as a whole. So they are, it turns, I live. Do you see how dumb these are? It turns. It turns is actually the best one when you think about the theme and structure of the book as a whole, which I'm not going to tell you what book it's from, but I nearly peed my pants when I read it because I was just so excited. It turns, I live in myself, also another good one. I happened, which also really fit the book as well. I happened, that was great. Mothers try, which is not a sentence, but is amazing for the book it's from. In everything, I also have here when forward, which isn't great, but it's kind of cool for the book that it's from. And then my exception to the rule is one where I took the second word also. So originally the first word and the last word are I home, but if you look at the second word, it's I picture home. And that is amazing for the book that it's from, which I'm not going to tell you what it's from, but it is super cool. Okay, these in no particular order are from Dr. No by Percival Everett from Grey Wolf. At the Edge of the Woods by Catherine Bromwich from $2 Radio. Costa Alegre by Courtney Mom from Tin House. The Lost Journals of Sacagawea by Deborah Magpie Erling. This is from Milkweed. Sister Golden Calf by Colleen Berner from Split Lip Press. Perma Red, also by Deborah Magpie Erling from Milkweed. Landscapes by Christina Lay. This is from $2 Radio. And Cross Stitch by Jasmina Barrera from Two Lines Press. Oh, I forgot one. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what book it's from, but there was another book that I read recently where the last word was character, and I thought that was cool. I guess I could just edit it in. I'm gonna try that, and you will never know which one it was. I am still searching for my white whale, that perfect mini sentence that encapsulates everything perfectly that the novel is about. So that really, if you wanted to, you could just read the first word and the last word, and you would understand all you need to know about that novel. The search continues. Tell me about your quirky reading habits, and please make them sound weirder than mine, just to make me feel better. Thank you. My name is Sarah, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.